Hello, welcome back to another video. Today's video will be on breaking down 5 passive income trends using basic math. Let's get right into the video. So here's our first one. We have print on demand, or POD for short. And basically what it is you choose an item you want to put a design on. So you can do, for this instance, we're doing mugs, but you can also do t-shirts, hoodies, shorts, sweatpants, literally anything you want to do. But for this one, we're just going to be focusing on mugs because they seem like a pretty cheap option, and a lot of people seem to want to buy them. So first off, we have mugs, which cost from, a basic mug costs anywhere between like $5 and $10. You can find some for more, some for less, but that's the range that we're going to go for. Shipping, to ship the item out to the person, usually costs around $4 to $10, also depending on where you're buying the item from. And then you have design tools. So for example, like Canva, you have anywhere from free to $13 monthly. For this example, we're using Canva, and I believe it is $13 a month. For your selling platform, for this one, we're going to be doing Shopify, because that's the one that everybody knows, and so that one will cost you anywhere from $29 to $39 plus a month. And then you also have marketing. I put $50 for the low end, but realistically you could do it for $0. So the low end will probably be $0 for marketing, and then it can go from 0 to 200 plus a month. And so for the low end, let's count this up here. We have, let's just go for the low, so $5 mug plus $4 shipping, and then $0 for design tools, $29 for the selling platform, and then $0 for marketing. So that'll put you about $38 a month. And then for the high end, we're gonna be going $10. So there's 20 right there. You have 13, so 33, 39, 200 plus. So I believe that's around $273 a month. Quite pricey. So let's look here. So obviously the low end be 54029, $38 a month. Seems pretty good. Not terrible, but also you're probably going to be paying that monthly. I mean, $30 a month isn't too expensive, but I'm not gonna lie, it is starting to get up there. So the low end I still think is a pretty big expense, especially if you're just starting out. And then you have $273 a month. Very pricey. Not a whole lot of people are going to be doing that, if any at all. And so let's look at the mugs that you need to sell to break even or even go positive. 4 mugs, if you're selling them at $10 a piece, 4 mugs, you get $40 right there. And then mugs sold for the high end, you need about 28 sold if you're also selling them at $10 per mug. So right there, you can already see you need a base of 4 sales on the low end and 28 and even more, like 28 plus, right? This could possibly be over monthly $273. Marketing will probably cost you a little more than $200 a month. And then you also have 28 mugs that you need to be selling for $280 to break even. And even then, you probably still need more because you have so many fees that you have to be paying. So yeah, that's print on demand. For me, it's I wouldn't say it's a great starting spot. Pretty expensive if you're trying to get started out, so I probably wouldn't recommend it. So there's print on demand. Let's go on to the next one. So here's our second one. We have high yield dividend stocks, and to be honest, they're a great thing to invest in, especially if you're looking forward to retiring early, or getting some good investments for your your late 40s if you're in your 20s or 30s. But to be honest, it's not a good thing to really invest in it for short term, just because you have to invest a ton of money to even get up to $100 a month, which is what we're going to be calculating here. Don't mind my marker. My marker is dying, so please bear with me. But yeah, so for this one, we're going to be looking at Vanguard High Dividend Yield Index Funds, ETF, and the return for this specific high dividend stock is going to be around 2.2 to 3% yearly, just for $100 a month, which is about yearly, right? We're going to divide that by 0.03 because we're going to do the high end of the average yearly return. So that'll average to about $40,000 you have to invest in just to get $100 a month. And if you ask me, college students don't really have that money, and I'm going to be honest, people that are in high school also don't really have that money. To invest $40,000, you would probably have to, take couple years, maybe like 20 years or something if you're investing in your 20s. And then that'll get you up to $100 a month, which you can spend on groceries or whatever you want. But yeah, anyways, like I said, it's a great thing to do for your late future, just not for your short term. So if you want to invest in something, this is definitely something I would recommend. Definitely look more into it. Don't specifically go for the Vanguard one, even though that is a pretty decent one to invest in. Do some more research and learn about which ones you want to invest in, and that's high dividend stocks. So let's go on to the next one. All right, and here's our third one. We are going to be talking about faceless AI pages. And basically, what that is you use AI to say stories like text to speech or anything like that. Like Reddit stories like, am I the asshole? Am I a good boyfriend? Am I a good girlfriend? All those types of good stuff. So people just basically use these pages to make side money, to be honest. Unless you're posting on like 5-6 pages, then I mean you're not really gonna make any serious money. The reason why this one is gonna be broken down is because even though it's kind of like it's a good idea to start doing, it doesn't pay well like at all, because the average RPM per 1,000 views, or like the payout per 1,000 views, is incredibly low. So low in fact that it's about 2 cents to 7 cents per payout of 1,000 views, which is incredibly low. And for this one specifically, we're going to be talking about YouTube Shorts. I'm not really sure what the payout is on TikTok or Instagram, but we're going to be using YouTube for this example. And so here the breakdown right here for 10,000 views. You divide that by 1,000 because that's the payout. To multiply it by 0.07 or 0.02. And obviously this is the high and low end. We're not doing like the middle average. So for 10,000 views, you're getting paid 70 cents or 20 cents for one video, which is nothing, literally nothing. You cannot buy anything off it. And then for 1,000,000 views, that's pretty up there, don't get me wrong. You're getting paid about $70 on the high end and $20 on the low end, which is still pretty low if you ask me. That's pretty low. Even though you can use that money to actually buy stuff, unlike the 10,000 views up here, it's still not life-changing money. Sure, it'll help out a little bit, groceries, clothes here and there, but it's not gonna help out a whole lot. So just to make a livable wage, which is about 3,500 for most states, I believe. This I just looked up. You can't even see it because the marker's so bad. But you'll have to be making about 50 to 100 videos a month just for a livable wage, which is insane, because that's a lot of time and effort put into making faceless AI videos when you can be making videos like these, real videos, so you're an actual, authentic human being. Yeah, just to be making a livable wage is about $3,500. It'll differ for sure depending on the state you're in, or the place you live, but 50 to 100 vids a month is insane if you're doing something like this. So yeah, that's faceless AI pages. And I'm not gonna lie, out of all the ones we're gonna be talking about today, I feel like this one is probably gonna be the best one if you're looking for short-term money. Again, it's not a whole lot of money, but if you get up here to 1,000,000 views and you post a bunch of times a day on different accounts, you could be making some serious money. So yeah, this is probably your best bet compared to the other ones that we're gonna be talking about today. So that's faceless AI pages. Let's go on to the next one. All right, so we got a little bit of a change up here. Unfortunately, my marker just literally completely died and stopped being able to put anything on the board. So we're gonna move over to my computer, and I'm just gonna, type everything out here and explain it to you, just to make it a bit easier and just so I can also finish the video. So for our fourth and second to final one, we're gonna be talking about digital product sales. So this is ebooks or Etsy. I mean, you can even throw Pinterest in there as well. They're pretty much all going to be the same. Specifically here, we're going to be talking about Etsy, and it is basically impossibly difficult to literally get even one sale. Just because the market is just insanely oversaturated, and it just has thousands of people selling the same product or like the same type of product. So it just makes it basically impossible for any of your items to be listed out there, and for people to see them and buy them. And then also there's no barrier for entry, so there's no like if you start, you can get a free like marketing thing for a week, let's say, right? There's no like entry barrier, there's no moderate barrier or anything like that, intermediate. It's literally just you join, you post, and you just hope for the best, basically. But it's basically impossible to get a sale unless you're marketing everything. And so here we go in the middle. You can see we have the cost breakdown, and so we're gonna just be going down the list here. So starting with one, listing fee is 20 cents per item, and that doesn't go for each individual like stock item. So for example, if you have 5 mugs, I don't believe you would have to pay $1 to list all 5 of those mugs unless they're 5 completely different mugs that you have to list individually. But I could be wrong on that. I'll research and then I'll pop it up on the screen. But basically, yeah. So you have to pay a 20 cent list fee just to post your item on it. And we're already off to a bad start if I'm being honest. And so for our second one, we have the transaction fee, and that's just 6.5% of the total transaction amount. So if you have $100 total, like at the bottom here, it'll be about $6.50 taken away, and that'll go to the Etsy company, not not you or the customer. And so we have the payment processing fee, which is 3% of the total transaction amount plus an additional 25 cents. To be honest, I don't really understand what the 25 cents it's for. Maybe it's just to get back the listing price fee. I really don't know. And so for the auto renewal, we have if you have 5 items in stock, we were talking about the mugs, and only one of those sell, you only have to pay 20 cents. I say only because you're technically relisting, but you have to pay an additional 20 cents to have the other 4 mugs stay up, basically. So you're just keeping your spot on the listing. And so basically it's a little frustrating because you already paid 20 cents to list the item, and then you're paying an additional 20 cents to keep the item up there even though you just sold something. So it's a little frustrating, but I digress. So and then you have an expiration fee, basically, which is the same thing as the listing fee. It's basically just keeping your spot. And so basically after 4 months, your listing expires and you have to pay an additional 20 cents just to list it or relist it, which I don't think that's too bad. It's just a little frustrating when you pay the first 20 cents to put it up there, and then you sell an item but you have more in stock, so you have to pay another 20 cents, and then you have to pay another 20 cents after 4 months because your listing just expired. So just for that you're paying 60 cents just to keep one item up. And it's I mean that can add up if you have a ton of items that you listed. So but anyways, we're gonna go down to the total here for an example. We have $100 total, and so the item listing is 20 cents, and the transaction fees are $6.50. And then you have the excuse me here, the 3% plus the 25 cents payment processing fee, which amounts to about $3.25. And then you have the 4 month renewal. I don't know why it got cut off there, but it's 20 cents, like you see up there on the in the middle bottom there. And so that's all without marketing. Marketing can also take around 10 to 12% of the total. So that's about an additional 10 to 12 bucks off of your $100 total. And then also this is without the conversion rate. As I've heard a lot of things about the conversion rate, like that it's you are always paying a conversion rate basically, and so I could be wrong on that. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so if you do the math here, you have $100 total, and you're subtracting about $10.15, and so that's without the marketing and the conversion rate. It'll be more than that. And so I have it written down here. It's about $89.85 take home, and I mean that'll go down because of the marketing and the conversion rate. So out of a $100 total, if you're including those two, you're looking at about I'd say probably about an 80, no, not 85, but $75 payout. Which to be honest is still pretty good, but also it's not enough because you're already paying all these things. You're paying so many fees, you're paying so many listing fees, all that stuff. So honestly, I really don't think it's a good idea unless you're listing like 1 or 2 things. Then I mean, I don't think it would be a bad idea. I mean, like I said before, I think the Faceless AI page is probably your best bet into making some extra cash. I mean, Etsy is an okay one if you just want to get something out there and, keep it up there for a while. But you have to go through a ton of fees just to get one product. So yeah, that's the digital product sales, Etsy and stuff. I'd say this is probably your second best bet behind Faceless AI pages. But yeah, that's the fourth, second to last one, and we're gonna go on to the final one right here. All right, and here we have our fifth and final one. This one we're gonna be talking about ATM flipping or vending machines. I haven't really done a whole lot of research on ATM flipping, so for this one, I'm going to be focusing mainly on vending machines. For these ones, it's usually a pretty active job, just because you have to move around all the vending machines. You actually have to go and do maintenance for them, unless obviously you have employees. If you even get to that, get to that part. It's usually pretty active, lots of physical labor with maintenance, and it's just kind of taking the passive out. I mean, I say passive with quotations because not every job, most jobs are not passive. Anyways, you have to know the basics of sales because you have to actually have to go to locations and pitch your idea to them. Then you also have to be able to negotiate contracts. You have to know how to fix the machines, maintain them so they don't break down. You have to know how to stock them properly, and then you also have to know how to protect the cash reserves. Just because I've heard a lot of people actually break into vending machines and take all the cash out. So for that, you have to know how to protect the cash reserves so nobody steals them. And then we're just going to move on to the cost breakdowns really quickly here. So for a used one, it ranges anywhere from $500 to $3,000. For a refurbished one, $2,000 to $5,000. A new one, standard machine, would be about $3,000 to $6,000. Smart machines, so the machines where it has the little arm and it goes over and it picks up your drink or whatever. Those will cost you around 4,000 to 10,000 plus, which is pretty expensive. To stock the machines, you're gonna need anywhere from $200 to $500. The card reader, so if you want to do tap to pay, Apple Pay, anything like that, $300 to $500 that'll typically run you. And then for the insurance and licensing, just so you're actually like properly registered with the vending machine and it's not stolen property or anything like that. That'll cost you around $20 to $50 monthly, which honestly isn't even really that bad, especially if you're making a decent income from it. And then also, depending on the location, there's a fee usually. Some owners might do a fee, some owners might not. It really depends on them and the location you're at. Usually, on average, it'll be about 10 to 20% of your income goes over to the owners based on the location. And so on the low end for your grand total, it'll run you about $1,020 minimum. That is if you can even find a used $500 working vending machine or anything like that. Card readers, stock. Yeah, I mean that's gonna be all five of the breakdowns for the passive incomes that you usually see on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. Just to put it out there, a lot of these will not usually work because you have to put a lot on. I mean it, like a lot of effort and time into it, and you also have to spend quite a bit of money on it. Like I said before, the Faceless AI page is probably your best bet. On top of that, I'd probably say the Etsy one would probably be your second best bet. This would probably be your third. Fourth, I put high dividend stocks because it just takes a really, really long time because you have to invest so much money to even get, a passive income from it. But it is a great way to invest. I might do a video on that sometime in the future. And then obviously the fifth would be the, whatever the first one I talked about was. And so I don't really remember, so I apologize. But yeah, so that's gonna be the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, like the video, comment down what I should post next, and hopefully you guys have a great day. See ya.